16, I work with Western Washington Fellowship of Reconciliation. One of the many wonderful organizations that has pulled together this particular event. I wanted to, on our behalf, there are signs around and you'll see it's the American Friends Service Committee, Northwest Region, the Church Council of Greater Seattle, Faith Action Network, GI Voice, Green Party of Washington State, Rainier Valley Neighbors for Peace and Justice, Veterans for Peace Chapter 92, Washington State Progressive Caucus, West Seattle Neighbors for Peace and Justice, Western Washington Fellowship of Reconciliation, and all of you because you're all here. Again, welcome to everybody. I know Friday night going out, oh, let's go talk about the budget and what human needs are and what we should be spending is maybe not everybody's idea of a good time, but I think that those of us who pulled this event together know that this is a really important opportunity for us. And again, thanks to both of you for being here and communicating with your representatives about what their constituents have to say and what our issues are. This event came about, it dates back to, remember the fiscal cliff? Everybody remember the fiscal cliff when it was the big thing, November, December? A number of the organizations who are part of the sponsoring group and a number of other people thought it was really important that we meet in particular with Senator Patty Murray's staff and the senator herself, if possible, because she, as she is now, is the chair of the Senate Budget Committee. Back in December, we had the opportunity to meet with one of her key staff people in Washington, D.C., Evan Schatz, had a very good conversation from some of the voices you'll hear tonight and some others about why continuing to protect human services, not to cut Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security, to invest instead in green jobs and education and healthcare and all the many things that we care about are so important to us, and why many of us believe that there is money to continue to be cut in the Pentagon budget. And there's money to be had in taxing the richest 1% and 2% of Americans, and that we can see the difference in our lives and in our communities when we look at what the impacts of those cuts are going to be. So we met with Evan in December, and this idea of continuing to tell stories, to have different voices speak to what is important in their lives and what the impact of federal funds, having them or having them cut, they see in their own lives. So that's what this evening is about. We also met with Brian Christensen, who is the state director of Senator Patty Murray's office in January, a couple of us, and have continued to be in conversation with them. We're disappointed that nobody from the staff was able to make it this evening, and nobody from Senator Maria Cantwell's office could make it this evening. We do have some statements from them that we will share with folks later. Again, for us, it was really important for people to hear the voices of the people who are being impacted and not just hear statements from people. Just one thing I noticed, we have that bean poll outside that people were filling what they wanted their federal dollars to be, and I haven't been out there recently, but I noticed that the main things were education and healthcare, which says a lot about this community and where people's concerns are. I should say it was education and jobs, I think. So we know that we are facing hard times. We know that there is this, as the Seattle Times, who I don't always agree with, called it in the editorial today, this gimmick of sequestration, which is about to hit, the automatic cuts that are supposed to take effect on March 1st, and we'll see if that happens or does not happen. We know that any jobs lost affect people, but we also know that investments in certain sectors create more jobs. Investments, if you take $1 billion and you invest it in the military, you create about 11,000 jobs. If you take the same $1 billion and you invest it in healthcare or education or a number of other sectors, there are flyers out there, you can see that it's very different. And the numbers are 17,000 jobs instead of 11,000 jobs, 20,000 jobs. The corollary to that, is that if you cut jobs and you're trying to save money, you're going to affect more people in education, in healthcare, in the Veterans Administration, than you are if you cut jobs that are affected by defense. It's not that I want to see, or we want to see, anybody lose their jobs. It's just looking at where the money is. The Pentagon, in 1 year, loses, wastes, or misspends $102 billion, which is a staggering number. So hopefully we're going to hear this evening from a number of different people who can shed light on impacts on their own lives in various ways. We've asked people to present briefly for about 2 minutes, so we can hear a myriad of voices. We're going to take a break roughly in the middle, and Gary's going to sing another song, and we'll do some administrative stuff up here. And then we will finish hearing from our presenters and hear from our representatives. I understand that you may have to leave before we get that, and we're sorry about that, and we look forward to sharing any statement you have at that point. And we're going to end, because really the reason for doing this is not just sharing information with you all who we are glad, and these folks who are not here, and all of you, but it's really to energize all of us, because no matter what happens on March 1st, or the next date, or the next day, we have a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of strength in this community and the broader community. This is one of many events that has been going on this particular week, addressing some of these issues. So we have some suggestions about next steps that we will share with you at the end.
I was a part of the group of folks who came together back in November to pull together our first delegation with Senator Murray, who's not here tonight. Didn't bother to send an aide, right? We're here tonight because Senator Murray's staff looked at us and said, the thing we need you to do is to bring us stories, right? That's why we're sitting here tonight. And so, fortunately, we're recording these stories to share with all these elected representatives who chose not to be here tonight. But who here thinks that mailing a couple cassette tapes to Senator Murray is going to get her to cut the Pentagon budget? Anyone think that? No. No. We all know that it's going to take a lot more. And for the organizations that have helped pull this together, we really view this as a starting point for us, right? Our first step was back in December. Who was a part of that original delegation to meet with Senator Murray? Steph. A couple hands in the back. I know Hart was. And so now we're at step 2, right? We did what, our banner's falling down. We did what we were asked. We put together this forum. We have a lot of compelling stories about public services that we need to maintain and new programs that need to be created. But we know this isn't going to be enough. So we have some next steps that we want to suggest. And Ellen's passing them around right now on this piece of paper. It's already been around. Okay, great. Who knows what's happening on March 1st? Anybody? What's happening on March 1st? Okay, something's happening on March 1st. Basically, we have no idea what's going to happen in the next week, but there's an opportunity in these coming days to actually cut the Pentagon's budget, right? Because if the Congress and Senate, if they don't pass something, then there are going to be these cuts put into place that seemingly no one wants. So we're going to suggest 2 next steps in the next week, and I'm going to challenge each person in this audience to at least do one of them. So the first thing is send a letter to an editor of one of our local newspapers. And there's even a suggestion about what that text could look like. But that's just a suggestion, right? It can be anything that you all want it to be. Who here thinks they can send a letter to their editor in the next 4 days? Great. And so the second thing we're going to ask folks to do, well, first of all, let me say, Do folks know how many people around the country are working on this right now? There may be 80 people here tonight, right? And it's easy to think that we don't have the power to have any impact on this. But we know that we do, right? And we know we can do this because it's not just the 80 of us here tonight, right? It's not our friends and family members that we're going to share these action steps with when we get home. But it's literally tens of thousands of people around the country that are working on this right now. Sitting at forums right now, sending letters to the editor, making phone calls next week. So the next step we're going to ask people to do is to make a call to Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell next Wednesday, the 27th. Who here's ever called a senator? Lots of folks have. Wow. Okay, cool. So how many of you think you can make another call next Wednesday? Great, thank you everyone. So those are our two next steps that we have kind of set up, right, to go in the next week. You all think that's going to be enough? No. I agree, and I think you all are an astute group of people for knowing that, right? Because we can take these kind of limited actions in the next week, and that's great. It's better than doing nothing, right? We know we have no chance of being successful if we do nothing. But we know that we need to do even more. So the organizations on that list back there and on that list when you came in that helped put this on, we want this to be a springboard to do even more. And so I hope that for folks who are a part of an organization or maybe just really passionate about this stuff, that want to see real pressure put on Senator Murray,
oh, yeah.
right? Who didn't even bother to send an intern tonight, right? Because that's what she thinks of us, right? We're not even on her radar, but we can get on her radar if we unite and put pressure on her. So we're all going to get together, the folks that organize this, on March 7th, on Thursday night over at the American Friends Service Committee office, and we're going to plan our next steps. Because this is totally unacceptable, right?
Oh, yeah.
We can't let this happen. We have to hold it. Couple more things before folks leave. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you to all the speakers who shared what for many were very personal and very difficult stories. And we really appreciate you sharing that with all of us. We have two things. You have the two things you can do when you go home, right? And you're all going to do them, right? Okay. You're not just going to crumple this up and throw it away. Because you can share it with friends, share it with family. We have two more things that you can do tonight, though, before you leave. One is on your way out, you can get your picture taken with a sign that says something like, how I feel about the huge military budget, right? Or what I think about the war in Afghanistan. And you can get that picture sent to you, and you can share it with your friends on Facebook, do whatever you want with it. But you can also, are there folks here tonight who had stories perhaps that they didn't get to share up front? I think there might have been a couple folks. We really want you to share your stories with us tonight, and we're going to have videographers outside who are ready to take your stories so we can share them with our elected officials. So we have those two actions tonight. We have two more we can do next week, and we hope to see as many as possible of you on March 7th at our next meeting. Thanks, everyone.